and be able to make it up. But they go.
George is 17.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah. So they're super young, and George is a year younger, right? So it's like
Georgie, I think, is 17. Mm-hmm. I think by this time he might be 19 or 20.
Well, actually no, because Harrison's still he's not 18 when they're in Hamburg, and Hamburg doesn't happen to late 60, right? So this is like the summer of 60. Right there, it's like because they come back, and because of, and I'm forgetting the guy's name, the guy who booked them, who got the, like, he's the guy who made friends with the German guy that got the invite in September to go to Hamburg for the first time.
Horst Frascher.
Yes, yeah, right. The guy he meets him in London, like it's like happenstance. Like he met him in Hamburg, and he could barely speak English.
We got to finish it. We got to finish up the Scottish tour.
Yeah, but so they go up on the Scottish tour, and like the first night, like they're in this theater, and it's like, but they I think, are they sharing an amp? Like it's so low budget, it's unbelievable.
It's really low budget stuff. But
it's like
I mean, it's a punk rock band. Like they're out on the road. They've all got their own amps at this point, but they're like, wired together like crazy stuff. It's just like, oh, Paul had that, thing that, like, his uncle had made out of his mother's old suitcase. Yeah. It's just crazy stuff. It's not that crazy, but it's pretty low. Like it's just low budget. Yeah, and they're out on the road.
So I think they get to do a song or two, and then they're it's a classic sort of. And then Johnny Gentle, I don't think he does a half hour. He probably has 15 minutes, but they do like 5 shows. Like it's a bunch of shows.
You mean at night?
Like it starts in the afternoon, and
but it's like the Scottish winter as well. So they're traveling like, they're just like, it's miserable. And they're like, Scottish roads are tiny little fucking sheep roads that you're like, and they're, but they've got a swing and load on a van.
But they have those like special moments that it's like they have, like someone asks for an autograph, and then they kind of like they meet some girls, and they go back to like this house, and they get like a meal. It was like the first time. It's like they just have these kind of special like on the road things. But apparently John is just malicious to Moore the whole time. He
just gave him shit the entire time.
Yeah.
The drummer, Tony.
Yeah.
The drummer at the time.
Yeah.
He gave the drummer some.
So the guy, is that the guy who lost his teeth? That guy.
That's the guy who loses his teeth.
Yeah, so he finished the tour with them.
Yeah.
He finishes the tour with the Beatles, and then they go back to Liverpool, and the Beatles still get gigs, like it's and they're playing like the Casbah Club. They're like there's these little places that they would play.
But the Casbah Club happens before this trip,
but they're still playing these places though, John. When they come back, it's not like anything has changed for them, but they book more gigs, and then Tommy Moore just doesn't show up.
Well, yeah,
so they go down to the Garriston Bottle Works, and there he is on a forklift, and they're just like, we got a gig tonight, and he's just like,
I'm done.
Sod off, Lennon. I'm done. I've had enough of your bollocks, and it's over. Like that's
right. And then. Right, they kind of run into, there's like a drummer. Like, what's the coffee shop where they hang out, where George hangs out? And
that's the Casbah.
No. This is
Jacaranda.
Yeah, the Jacaranda, exactly.
The Jack.
And across the street, right, they hear what are we gonna do? We don't have a drummer. And like they hear a drummer playing across the street. I can't remember if it was George or John. It must be George, because George is friendlier. He walks over because at this point they don't know.
Well, Pete is playing with a band called the Blackjacks.
Yeah, but Pete's still not their drummer, right?
Okay, so it's not that guy,
right?
Okay,
it's
so
just this other guy kind of fills in for a little bit, and then eventually, I think, Pete doesn't have that much. Like, he's got a drum kit. He doesn't really play with anybody, right? He's just sort of, his mom has a weird relationship with his mom.
Wasn't it a guy that? No, it's not that guy. It's a guy that George had played with, I think. George played in another band, and he was like, they just poached him for a couple of gigs, what was that guy's name?
But then ultimately what happens, right? So they're playing these couple gigs here, and then whatever is the opportunity. It's like we could send another band over to Hamburg, and they literally have like 5 days to come up with a drummer. Right, and isn't that?
But now you're jumping ahead.
Okay, am I?
Like they're famously, like they are still getting booked in little coffee shops and this and that, and the three of them walk around, and you know the line, John, like because they're just like, they're like, so what do you guys do then? It's just like, well, John here plays guitar and sings, and Paul sings and plays guitar, and George over there he's the lead guitar player and stuff like that. Well, what about like drummer and stuff? And they're just, the rhythms and the guitars, and they just sell it as that. Like, and Pete, even Stuart is like, he's just coming around to the band. Like Stuart, he plays with them in Scotland. Maybe we've jumped ahead too far. Even like that's even earlier than before pre-Scotland, right? They get Stuart. That's the thing. So I have a beatdown challenge here, Tony. The Scotland tour, the last Scotland date or to the first Hamburg date is not 60 days. Like it's, I want to say they're there in September playing in Hamburg, and they're playing in July in Scotland. Like this is 1 month of where they lose more, and they have this other guy who I agree.
And then finally it's like they've never played with Pete before. And they're like, we need a drummer to get this thing. We're going to do this. We're going to go and we're going to get, is it even 6 weeks?
You're telling me, I don't know that as fact. So you're telling me that the first time the Beatles ever play with Pete Best in any fashion is in Hamburg? They don't play at their mother, at Pete's mother's club.
It's an audition / rehearsal is what I want to say. Yeah, you're right. Now that you say it, I remember that. So, but like at the Casbah, right? Is the Casbah is his mother's club? Yeah. I think so. I think they can. That's, and Mom's like all for it. Okay,
Scottish definitely.
Right, it's just like get his little wolf. Okay,
you're fact checking. Go ahead.
Yes, I am. I'm just because
all right, bring it.
May 28th, 1960 is the last Johnny Gentle Beatles tour. Beatles date.
End of May.
It was 7 shows. That was the whole tour from May 20th to May 28th. That was this whole tour that they, essentially took them from, is this ever going to work, to shit, it's going to work. Like, but they're still, so Beatles, Hamburg. Now
these guys are playing like, did they play in Edinburgh? Like, are they just playing like, playing like Sheep Meadow Hall?
So Scottish tour with more ends May 28th. August of 1960 is their first Indra Club date. So give me an actual date, but it's August. So that they go through essentially 3 drummers, and then it's like we need Pete. Like Pete could play, like it was like, so Pete became the Beatles drummer out of pure desperation, and he had a kit. And he had a passport.
And they, I think, had the gig offer, right? Like the offer was on the table, and they were just like, but you need a drummer.
But right, because it was like Rory Storm was over, like had done it, like that was one of the bands. But who was the other band that was like the big band in Liverpool?
It was Derek and Seniors.
Yes, Derek and they went
over. So Derek and the Seniors went over. I think we've talked about this before.
Don't send them over.
The band that said that, right? Yeah. Don't send those guys over.
So because they were like, those guys suck, or is it like we're not gonna?
So it was Derry and the Seniors. Yeah, don't send. Yeah, those because they just knew them as the they saw them at that audition.
Yeah, some crappy.
Not professional, not slick. We got a good thing going on.
Great
and
acoustic
you're gonna
guitars,
bring
whatever.
these guys over, really? Like, those guys?
And also, and previously, the Beatles had gotten, when they were the Quarrymen got thrown out. They had some beef with the Casbah. I forget what they like. I think they wanted more money or something like that. Or
they're not like thrown bodily out.
No. But literally, like,
Mona
you're not,
Best,
don't ever come
they
back.
go to her and they go to Mona Best. So Pete's mom, and it's clearly before Pete's in the band, and they ask for more money, and she's just like, those so-and-sos, and who do they think they are? And they got banned from the Casbah
right
Club.
So now they so
wait, his mother owns some
they've
club,
never seen,
or?
so and during that time, so Pete is not playing, but apparently George has seen
Pete is playing with the Blackjacks at the time.
And George sees them, and he's one of the ideas he comes up with. Who are we going to get for a drummer to go to
like those guys suck, but they got a drummer. Like, we could lure him away.
Yeah.
and they grabbed Pete Best, and like John said, they had an audition / whatever little show lunchtime thing at the Casbah Club, and they were like, "All right, we got this gig, and we're going over to Hamburg to play for." It's a Horst Frascher? No, it's Bruno Kochschmidt.
It is Bruno. Yep.
Bruno's the head guy. Horst is a former boxer who supplies them with amphetamines and really
gigs.
is like, so the band's the Reaper Bond is just like, it's a bad, like it's really a dangerous place. And he is a boxer, and he watches out for the Beatles. And because John has got that mouth, and he's drinking 24 hours a day and on amphetamines, and he is just like, you fucking Nazi, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just unbelievable. And this guy is like the guy who was John's back. Like, he's a musician, and all, it is, they live that life where it's just like, who's awake at that hour? It's just like waitresses, prostitutes, barmen, bouncers, and
but it literally, this is like the Beatles' crossroads, and the Robert Johnson myth, right? So from August of 1960, right, they leave as they no one's ever seen them with really Pete Best as a drummer, or probably that often with a drummer, right? Their experience was in Scotland for 7 gigs, and so they go, and then they come back, and like one of their first gigs is like either New Year's or somewhere like late December.
No. Like, you're jumping too far.
I'm skipping Hamburg. I'm just saying what they
he's going to make a bigger point here.
Yeah. They vanished from Liverpool in August.
This is a huge point.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. But from a local's point of view in Liverpool,
I know what you're getting to. Go ahead.
Eventually, I'll get to say it. From August of 1960.
Okay.
They go away. George gets busted underage. They send him home the beginning of December. They send then Paul and Pete get busted for, whether it's drummed up or not, about burning down the movie theater, which they probably didn't do, and they get escorted out of the country, and then John kind of follows as the only guy left, and because I think even Stu has said he wants to leave the band at this point too, but
Stu stays in Hamburg,
right? And they go back, and they actually, there's like a week or two where they don't even speak to each other. Like, they don't know if John's returned. They're, George and Paul go back to their lives, kind of thing, for a couple of weeks, and George runs into John at the Jack, and he's like, "You fucker, you didn't even tell us you were back, blah blah blah. I didn't know if we had a band. We like everything was right." And they kind of get their stuff back together, and they get a gig, and and then they play this show, and everyone's just like blown away. Like, this band is incredible. Like they after
Not
10 hours.
with Paul McCartney yet on bass.
Yeah.